Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. So, if you've been listening along, or perhaps this is the first time you're watching or listening, I have been for over a decade fascinated, well over almost 30 years, fascinated with the stories that get attached to photos and objects and documents. Basically, our personal archives or our souvenirs from our lives, our family's lives, our ancestors' lives. Yeah. So photos, of course, tell stories like nothing does in a lot of ways, but I've also found that objects can hold fascinating stories that can offer us a little insight, a peek, let's say, into somebody else's life, and to know a little bit more about the things that matter to them. So today I am thrilled to have a new friend, a new connection join me. We had the wonderful opportunity of meeting at Camp Indie, and I think some of you have already heard about that before, but I am a member of the Location Independent community, aka Location Indie, and it's a community that encourages people to think differently about their lives, to consider how they want to create them. So, do they want to travel full time and keep a quote unquote regular job as a remote worker? Do they want to travel and do travel full time and be a travel blogger or some other type of independent travel related person or digital nomad, so to speak? Or do they want to be a part-time person like me who lives in a van on 4 months out of every year? There's really a absolutely unlimited ways that you can live a location independent life. And so once a year, I think we're going to be meeting in Kent, Connecticut at Camp Getaway for a weekend of Location Indie activities and events. And so I had the opportunity this time to offer a Things That Matter, or my other, how I called it before, show and tales. I offered a workshop where people could bring their photos and things and tell their stories. And the first person who showed up, she was the first person that was sitting down next to me, was my guest today, Hannah Whitesides. And she was just so adorable, holding on to this thing that mattered. And I couldn't wait. I had to wait, though, because I didn't want her to tell the story of this thing until other people got there, more people got there. So without really further ado, I am going to turn it over to my guest, Hannah, to show us the object that she brought and to share its story. So take it away, Hannah.
Hi. Yeah, so when Marty came up to the front and said that she was going to be hosting this little workshop, I was so excited because I actually, when I was packing for Camp Indie, I wasn't really planning on bringing this, but then like last minute, I was like, you know who would like this? Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to share this at all, but if I do, like, I know these people are the people that are gonna appreciate it, like more so than just like, my friends or whatever who really don't like travel that often. So this is my object. So this started out, well, my brother got this for me, this journal for me before I went to study abroad for a semester in Italy. And because I've always loved to write. And so he got this for me. And I didn't know what it was going to turn into at the time, but I'm still using it to this day. Now, the thing is, I kind of had to figure out my way of doing things, like when people try to travel journal or, document their trips, they always say like, okay, I went here, I did this. Well, that's not fun to write about. That's not fun to read about. And so how do you because my roommate, she said, I tried for 3 days and then I was just like bored and I stopped. Like, well, yeah, because you're not writing about the things that matter, right? It's, you have photos that you went to the Coliseum, right? But you don't remember how you felt, how hot it was that day, like the little things that really just take you back. And so that's what I found, that meaningful travel writing is how you build something that's so like remarkable and that you love to read back. So I'm just going to show, I kind of got in my flow a little bit.
Oh.
So I also love to do like art. It's really like cathartic. So I just like, I started out with this, and I just kind of, I did a mood tracker for when for my semester.
Oh.
This is my like departure arrival information of that semester. So some journaling here. Let's see. This is my class schedule.
Oh.
This is my front door. We lived at Via Venezia Cinque, in Florence, Italy. So that's just a drawing of my front door.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
some things, what I've learned from living in Italy, skills, what I love, things I hate, just some of these,
I
I
love
do.
things you love and things you hate.
Yep. Yeah, like, because it's so interesting to read back, like things I hate, for example, there's no cheddar cheese. Like, I had no idea.
And it's your favorite.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't find it anywhere. So, and then I do these quotes, 10 years from now, make sure you can say that you chose your life. You didn't settle for it. Some
Mm.
reminders, my gelato here. So these are just things from my, just some art, some writings. So then, weather tracker. But so then, I started traveling a lot because in Europe, everything is so close. You'd be like, it would be a disservice not to take advantage of the railway systems and the like how cheap it is to pop from one country to the next when you're in Europe for an extended amount of time, right?
Absolutely.
So I was trying to figure out I wanted things to be, I wanted it to I organize, like everything has to be organized. Like I'm just that type of person. So I was like, I didn't want things to be just like popped in there and it's just like a mess. So I kind of found a little flow. So on one page, I would do like, this was just my first one, but Vienna, Austria, I would
Yeah.
write about it. And then I would have these souvenirs. So Budapest,
Ah.
and then these souvenirs. So it just keeps going like that for the entire, like
Oh.
basically the rest of it.
Oh,
Right.
wow. Yeah. I love that flow.
Yeah, it's really nice because it's like, oh, well, what's next,
Right.
Oh, and then I stopped traveling for a little bit. I had a little catch up. Also talking about how horrible my flight was back from Morocco. Just some more art, right? Um, and then we entered the flow again. And
Oh,
then so I did this throughout the semester, right? And then I got to the end of the semester, and I I knew I wanted to keep my journal, right? I wanted to keep working on it.
mhm. Yep.
But I also wanted there to be an ending to this Florence, because like I wrote about all of the things during my semester, but I never really wrote about Florence itself. Like I had
Oh,
wrote about all of the other places that I had been during the semester.
oh,
So I sat down one day and I really thought about it. And so Florence, and
yes.
then I wrote my end of semester kind of,
Oh,
and then here's where all of my souvenirs from Florence
oh,
that
yeah.
I had. This is my student
Oh,
ID. That was this was my favorite cafe to study in.
oh,
Um, this was my these cookies are amazing, and they're so good with just like an espresso or like a cappuccino, like so good.
Can you get those here?
I've never seen them.
See with that with cheddar.
I know, right? um, that was
Um,
my print center card. I had to go to a specialist in Italy. I got like, yeah, it was really bad. I got like a really bad ear infection, and I had to end up going to a specialist. And the only person that spoke English, it was just one doctor. And like, I didn't know when I entered the specialist office. Well, because the school nurse or doctor couldn't help me, so he was like, "Here you go. You got to go to this person." When I entered, they did it so differently. Like, just like the doctor's offices, they did it so differently. I was so confused. I was like, and everything's in Italian. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then finally, just the English doctor came out and got me, and I was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, that was my like referral. Uh,
Yes, your referral.
yeah,
Oh,
this is
that's
my
great.
what I got my stay like information. So like my
Oh,
roommate, my address, all
oh,
these things,
wow.
and my schedule again.
The schedule. Oh,
Yeah, and
wow.
then I did a conclusion from the guide that we got when we first got there. I just
Oh,
cut it out. Yeah. Um, and then I put the end.
oh, wow.
And then I kept going when I started traveling again. So,
Again,
and I got more creative with my art. I can see like the differences from the beginning,
right?
and then like I,
Wow.
I started putting more effort into the artwork because I love the artwork of it. I
Yes. Yeah. And the souvenir. Oh, look at that.
yeah, it says I want to go somewhere where I can marvel at something.
Ah,
And then I just, yeah. So I think one of
wow.
my favorites is, let me
Yeah.
see.
It's
I
your
have my bucket list in here.
ah,
Um,
love it.
I've got like, yeah, I really started Denmark, Copenhagen.
Oh, look at that with the little houses.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Um, yeah. So, I've stuck in the back of my journal, um, artwork that I had done prior to going somewhere, and then I wasn't able to go to that place for whatever reason. So I have the little I cut them out. I'm going to put them back in when I go there. So I have Thailand,
Oh, look at
I
that.
have Cambodia. Oh, that's upside down. Cambodia.
Yes.
And I have Egypt and England. I've been to England before, but this was before I started my journal. So
Journals.
yeah,
Oh,
so I have these little things that I'm gonna stick back in once I end up going there, and um yeah, continue it. So I've really
wow.
enjoyed creating, like, this is my prized possession. If my house is burning down, I would grab my dog and I would grab this.
Yeah.
Um so yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And I got a chance to learn it even more than at camp because we were lucky to have at least like 10 more people share stories. And we learned a little bit more about uh, people were fascinated with your journal and like you said, the flow of it, the like, you know, the work that you did in, the emotion, like the mental, like you said something about organization, right? And that everything's organized and you, the way you think and how you
Mhm.
have to do things, right? So you've done a lot of basically the executive function of figuring out how to map out a journal. It kind of that flows and asks for more information than just I went here, I went to the cathedral, I whatever. It's like
Mhm.
having those, how did it feel, what did it smell like, having those little tips
Mhm.
about things, like you were starting to think that way while you were creating this
Absolutely.
beautiful journal, right?
Yes. Now
Most
when
people have a hard time with that.
yeah, yeah, I
So,
know. And I did at first too. When I sat down and I started to write, I was I was like, I don't I don't want to feel like this is a task. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to be able to take myself back to that place when I'm reading it later. I want to write down the things that I'm not going to remember in 3 years if I just look back on this trip,
Right.
right? So, let me
Yeah.
turn my do not disturb on. I don't want to that ding.
Deep.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
that's okay. I understand.
yeah. So, I would like to just share one entry that I have from
Yes.
it was from Florence. I read this at your
Yes.
event.
Right.
And I think that this entry specifically explains exactly what I mean when I say meaningful travel journaling, meaningful writing, meaningful just experiencing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so wrote this, like I said, at the end of my semester. Um, so it says, if you would have asked me to tell you about Florence in January, I wouldn't have much to say. Sure, the traditional, I could tell you about the Duomo and the brief history I knew about it, but my answer would remain a short excerpt from a history book I read not long before. Now it has been 110 days, 110 days of assimilation, 110 days of Florence becoming a part of me and me of it. In January, I wouldn't be able to tell you how slippery the cobblestones get when it rains or the strength of the wind in the winter. I couldn't tell you that the best time to go to the market is at 7:30 p.m. on a weekday, right before it closes. I wouldn't be able to claim that La Carriera is the best place to get gelato or that La Ditta Artigianale is the perfect cafe for studying. I didn't know that there are still stoves that you have to light with gas and a lighter, or that the water in Italy contains more calcium. I couldn't advise which roads to take in order to avoid tourists. I couldn't explain what it's like to try and understand a professor with a thick Italian accent, and I wouldn't be able to tell you how much I've learned about myself. I've lived 110 days as an observer. I've felt the spotlight of being an outsider and the loneliness that comes with it, a roller coaster of emotions changing direction suddenly and without warning. I have been amazed, frustrated, anxious, excited, inspired, depressed, curious, scared, and spontaneous. I've craved both the comfort of my hometown as well as another impulsive adventure. I experienced the excitement of buying a train ticket to another country that departs the next day. I have felt what it's like to have a travel experience turn into a nightmare and not know what country I'll be sleeping in that night. I went to places I didn't plan on and didn't visit places I planned on. I slept in my apartment bed, on planes, a bus, some trains, an airport floor, 11 cities, 7 countries, and 2 continents. Nothing ever went as planned, but I learned to never expect it to. I learned to put down my laptop and take notes on paper, and how to interpret English from an Italian's perspective. I was put in a university that was exceptionally different from any other I've been to. And finally, the most important thing I learned is that patience is the key to solidarity. I've lived many years within 110 days.
Mhm. Oh my goodness. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. You take the readers on a trip, like with you, it's like a lifetime in that. And
Yeah.
what people and I was just thinking as I'm looking over your shoulder and I'm seeing your Camp Indie little
Mhm.
thing.
Yep. Yep. I also have this. It's
Right. And
a little thing. Yeah. It's just like on top of what my storage container. I love it.
I was just thinking about, that it's not a foreign country, but maybe you can add that to your journal.
I was thinking about that. I
Yeah.
really was. But I mean, I might, but I also have gained so much from Camp Indie. Like when I got home, I built my own website, I and like I don't it's just it's great. I met so many awesome people. I can't even explain it. Like it's so great. And everyone was so positive about, you know, my travel journal, and I have a prototype of one that
That's
people are going to I want to help people do this. I want to guide them through what it's like, and have them create their own keepsake that is just more than a picture can say, more than just like I went here, I did this. Travel entry can say more than even a video from your trip can say. Like, these things are something that they're like you're always going to have and remember. And when you read back, they're like, when I read back a smile, I can't stop. I can't stop smiling, because it's just like it just takes me back. And I want to help other people do the same thing, because I know that so many people have like struggled doing that.
Yes.
They don't know how. So I was like, well, but maybe I can help. So I'm working on publishing my guided travel journal right now. I'm in the beginning stages of it, but I do have my first prototype done.
I know.
Yeah.
You brought that too.
I did.
And everybody ended up encouraging you to move forward on right?
Yeah, it was amazing. The reaction I got was amazing.
Right? It's just because these are a lot of travelers. And so you've got your target market, we're there. So
exactly. It's I do, but first draft,
right,
it's going to be in different format. I'm learning.
Yes,
but I'm
life
already
is all about.
Yes, exactly. But just like the reaction that I got from everyone was more than I could have like even thought. Like, I had no idea that just showing this would lead me to building my website, like connecting with Vanessa, having Vanessa connect me with all of these people in Women's Travel Fest, like Women in Publishing, all of these people who put on these events, who know what they're doing. And Vanessa's connecting me directly to those people. It's like, I cannot believe how this has snowballed so much, but I'm so thankful that it did.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. I think it'll go down in history. I had a one man show come out of a show and tales where he brought a letter, kind of a love letter to his future husband. And so that ended up and shared it. And because of the positive feedback, and the opportunity to share his story in front of warm and welcoming group, he ended up moving, and doing that. I don't know if he's done it more than once, but this would be an amazing thing if this as this idea of yours ends up being changed from an idea into the reality. And I can't wait to see how that transpires, for sure. So
I'm
excited.
I
know.
I'm excited now. I want to thank you for having me also, like having me here to be able to share this, not just at Camp Indy, but, with on your podcast and everything, I just getting it out there, and like seeing reactions is just all I can ask for. So
absolutely.
I appreciate
it. My pleasure, Hannah. And I had a question. You said that journal was gifted to you by your brother.
Yes.
Did your brother know what he was starting?
No, I mean, yeah, he just got it for me because he knew I was going to study abroad, and he, like I did, he probably thought I was just going to use it during my study abroad and write in it every once in a while and then be done with it. And that is not what happened. I'm very happy.
Has he had a chance to see what it's become since he gifted it to you? He has.
Yeah, he has, and he loves it.
Yeah, it's a work of art. And it's it's soul. I love that you have quotes in there that stand out. And then you have a place like, part of the work that I did for you may not know that, but how I got into Things That Matter or Show and Tales is because for about 20 years before, I started working with people's photos, documents, memorabilia, everything they've saved or inherited in their lives. And of course, one of the things all my clients save is souvenirs. And foreign money and, coins from, and train tickets. And, it's such a common thing that I'd come across when I was digging through their boxes and bags and suitcases, storage units, and everything
Yeah.
like that. So a lot of what I did originally was similar. There wasn't writing in it because, of course, it wasn't my experience,
Mhm.
and my clients, they didn't have the time or the inclination to do what you did with writing
Mhm.
per se. So the only words that were in it were the ones that were in maybe some cards or letters or things that they saved that told part of their story that I put in. But I would make
Mhm.
these 14 by 14 leather bound, hand stitched
Wow.
scrapbooks full of everything that
Oh,
they,
I love that.
all those souvenirs. Like,
Yeah,
where
that's
do you, what do you
awesome.
do with them? Like, that's, so
Mhm.
I love the idea um of creating this, and I hope that we can continue to consider some collaborative work down the road about, how do you store these, how do you attach them to the
Mhm.
books, if they're the souvenirs that you just want to make sure that they can they can age well, let's say, they can
Right, yeah.
pass down to for further generations to look and understand you better, and where you came from and how you viewed life and what things matter to you and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
great
that's a
on
good
that,
point. Haven't
right?
thought about that yet.
Mhm. And
But
I
that's a really good point.
right. So I have friends who do have our archival storage work. And so, we could think about doing something at like one of these conferences about what do you do with all these souvenirs if you don't put them in your travel journal.
Yeah.
Other ones, how can you hold on to them? How can you tell the story? Like you said, yours is very similar to mine. It's not
Mhm.
just an object per se, but and everybody talks about, oh, I don't want my parents' things. I don't want, or parents say, my kids don't want my things. And it's like they don't want your things that don't have stories.
Right. Or just like your loose leaf, like you said, like loose leaf souvenirs. It's like, well, then it's just gonna go in the bottom of a closet someday at the bottom of the box, like
Yep.
why keep it at that point, right?
Exactly. That's when the dumpster comes in, because
Exactly.
it's just an object, it's just a ticket stub. And it may even the name of where it was kind of got brushed off, but but your kids
Hmm.
don't know it, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it's how is that gonna be passed down, or, even if it's just to your family or your friends, if something happened to you as well. So people know the stories of all the things that you have because you wrote them all down so beautifully.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I can't wait to find out more about the idea of becoming a reality and your travel journal. And I'd also say, you to consider, in the meantime, until like that prototype gets figured out. And, like you
Mhm.
said, it's a learning process, and it may not be the first draft. It may be, it's take some time, but
Mhm.
you're on the journey. But in the meantime, you can teach workshops about this, and teach
Yeah.
people to go with a blank one like your brother gave you.
Mhm.
You can
That's a
teach
good
people
idea.
how to do their own. We've got people in senior living communities, that are doing things online or in person, go to senior living centers. All of these people, probably not all of their stuff they brought from their other home into their smaller when they downsized, but I bet you they have some souvenirs in there. I bet
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
some boxes of souvenirs in their closet
Yeah.
or under their bed. And even if it's not while they're traveling,
Mhm.
taking them back through, that experience
Yeah.
with their souvenirs could be fascinating. So
Yeah, that's a good
just
point.
right.
Hmm.
So I see it I see it going in lots of ways where you can teach, like, it's kind of like a mini memoir in a way.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah,
you
that's
know,
people,
that's what it
they
is.
do keep their stuff, like, usually just in, like, one box under their bed or just, in their closet or something, and,
Yeah,
um yeah, I mean, I could just imagine just going through that box with somebody and then them pulling out, like, a train ticket or pulling out, like, a restaurant brochure or whatever, like, a card and just, like, be like, "Oh, I remember we went here and did that, like, this place had the best pasta," like, you know,
exactly.
yeah, it's like they will remember these things and putting them somewhere safe and documenting them, it's never too late. It's
It's
never
never
too
too late.
late.
No. And then some of these things can be put in a format that
Mhm,
can then be passed down. Because that's, as I think I talked to you, that the goal of show and tales, or things that matter, has always been about building deeper connections,
mhm,
with ourselves and with one another, community and legacy. Because I think that has a huge impact on the isolation and loneliness that so many people are feeling in this country and, around the world. So
mhm.
I think this is a wonderful gift. You've got a wonderful gift, and I'm looking
So
forward to perusing your brand new website and, looking to join you on your journey. And I'm looking forward to sharing, this story and your work in the world, your important healing work in the world, with my audience. So
Thank you.
thank you very much, Hannah, for joining me, and to all the Look In listeners who are watching or listening to this YouTube channel or podcast. I thank you for joining us as well. And I just want to encourage you to take a look around your space, and even the space that of your friends and your family members. And as Hannah and I were just talking about, it's amazing the stories that get attached to the things that we surround ourselves with and that our loved ones surround themselves with. And so take an opportunity, maybe sometime, to just ask them what this this thing means. Where did it come from? Why do they have it up on their shelf or their mantelpiece? Or why even wearing? It's the stuff that we wear too every day, right? So it can be a hat. It doesn't have to be anything of huge monetary value. As my friend Bill Shapiro and Naomi Wax in their book What We Keep found, our hearts aren't accountants. It's we care about the things, that touch our hearts, that make us remember our experiences. So yes, things don't matter, but it's the stories that get attached to them that do. So please come back and listen again. Share with your friends and your family and your followers. And if you'd like to be a guest on Things That Matter with Marty McNabb, please reach out to me at marty@showandtales.com. Of course, how you can get a hold of Hannah is, through her brand new website, which all of this stuff will be in the show notes. And, one last word from you is, are you on any social media that people can follow you on?
Yes, I am. So I have 2 Instagrams. One is just, when I started a long time ago, that I put regular pictures and stuff in my life, and then I have my, travel Instagram. So I do a little bit of, blogging and stuff on through my captions and stuff. So my regular Instagram is Hannah Whitesides _. And my travel Instagram is led by the landscape with underscore. So led underscore by underscore the underscore landscape.
Oh, I love that. Led by the landscape. That's wonderful. Well, thank you again, Hannah, for joining. And everyone, all of this information, we're not expecting you to be able to write it down from listening to it. It will all be in the show notes. So until next time, thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.